The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we're here to talk about your brand new album with Gungfly on her Journey to the Sun, which is coming out next month. And I've had the opportunity to be able to listen to this for a couple weeks now, and I gotta say, I am thoroughly impressed with what you're doing this time around.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, not a problem. So, how did this new album come to be?
Actually, I was, right before we disbanded Beardfish, I had started working on some material, and actually, I think I recorded quite a bit actually before that as well. But then once we decided to call it quits with Beardfish, I took some of the songs that were meant for Beardfish as well, and I baked it into the whole concept of the of Gungfly instead. So I think probably, I probably started working on it as early as probably April or May last year, but then took some time off to do some Big Train stuff and things in between. But so on and off for about 6 months, I think.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that as well. It's like I did hear a lot of Beardfish influence on this album this time around, so it's interesting to know that some of the songs that would have been used for the band were instead turned into more of the Gungfly style.
Oh yeah, sure. It's basically since I wrote the bulk of the material for Beardfish, it was just silly to not use the songs, even if we weren't gonna play them. So I think that was the idea.
So with that, were the songs changed a lot at all, or did you keep them close to how you wrote them before you decided to bring them in?
Well, the thing with the songs that were meant for Beardfish, I could actually tell you it's basically the song Polymixia and also My Hero were songs that were meant for Beardfish, and they were sort of written when and we tried them out a little bit. We never actually played through any of them in rehearsals or anything. So they were basically still in their early stages of they were written, but they hadn't been developed, as you say.
And with that, with in the midst of writing and getting so much of the album written before the band disbanded, how are you feeling now as far as pressure when it comes to writing your solo material with Gungfly? Does it feel easier to write that way, or does it feel the same?
I've always, or actually not always, but the past couple of years at least, I've been, when I've been writing, I've been at home, and I've been usually doing, if you're familiar with music production software and stuff, it's like Cubase or Logic or programs like that. I've been sitting and, creating songs within a digital audio workstation, basically, and then presented that material to the guys who are supposed to play it, and that hasn't changed quite a lot. I still do that. So my workflow is basically the same, I think.
Oh yeah, I always find that interesting. You are now a part of Big Big Train for your second album now, and then you got your solo material, and you had Beardfish, and then at one point in time you had all three of those projects come together. I know sometimes people can only focus one at a time, or when they're writing they know which songs are going to go where, so it's always curious to hear about that.
Yeah, I think actually for me it's always been a case of I've never done anything else. So since music is all I do, it's I think I usually have time. It's become more difficult since I became a father 5 years ago. That sort of changed stuff a little bit. I can't be up as late in the evenings anymore as I used to be. I was a real owl. I was usually up until 4 or 5 in the morning doing stuff, and then I slept until noon. But these days I got to get up at 7 with the kids, or sometimes earlier. So I need to get a couple of hours of shut eye.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. But it's great to see that you are able to work so much with all these great projects and be able to still be a great dad as well. I mean, being able to balance out the home life and the music life, it seems to be working out for you.
Well, I try my best, and still also the music is usually, since it is my work, when I drop the kids off at preschool, I go home and I sit down and focus on music for 6 hours, and then I go and pick them up, so it's like I usually get my day's worth of creating and doing my best. So.
Do you find that to be any kind of change at all, writing during the day as opposed to writing at night?
Oh yeah, it has. Yeah, actually, I'm still more inclined to do the best stuff, I think, in the nighttime. But I tend to be able to go down to the basement where I have my home studio and do some stuff after they go to bed as well. So I've actually been sitting here now just creating some new stuff. So it's always in the later hours of the day that my creativity sort of sparks. But still doing session work and stuff like that is fine in the day for me. So
yeah, and speaking of that, I mean, like you just said, you've gotten to do some great session work over the years, and of course now, being on the brand new Big Big Train album as well. I mean, how does it feel to be a part of all these different projects that you're not necessarily the front man of?
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, I love Big Big Train, and I've been I'm not gonna say that I've been a fan forever, because I didn't really know a lot of the material before I was asked to join them for the filming of the Blu-ray that we did. But I knew some of the stuff, and I knew that it was of a really high quality, and I've always admired their sort of the way they do stuff, because they're really sort of meticulous with the quality of it all. And I noticed that when they started sending over files for me to learn back in 2014, when we were going to meet for the first time, they started sending over files, and it was like, yeah, we need you to learn it pretty much exactly as it is, because of course by that time I didn't have any of my own parts. I just needed to sort of pick out either it was Andy Tillison's organ parts, or it was Dave Gregory's guitar parts, or Greg Spotton's guitar parts, which were, because by that time it was a brand new style of playing for me, even though it was prog rock. I mean, everyone has their own approach to playing an instrument, and I needed to sort of nitpick what was the main focus in that, and I really enjoyed doing that as well. And I mean, later on as well, when we did the sessions and they asked me if I wanted to join the band full time, I said yes, basically straight away, because I just really like the band, and I really like the approach that the later albums have taken now. So
how does it feel now with being 2 albums in, being able to have more of your creative approach to it?
Oh yeah, it's been awesome, and I think that, because I'm guessing you're referring to the fact that I'm a co-writer for a couple of the songs as well.
Yes.
On the new album, which was basically by accident, because Greg asked me to write this little guitar part for like an intro for a song called London Stone, and London Plane. Sorry about that. I started working on it, and after a while I sort of realized, well, this is turning into something more than just a guitar part. So after a while, when I worked on it for a while, it became 15 minutes long, and I was like, oh man, this is a brand new song. So I sort of sent him a text, I got this song that I've been working on. I think it could work for Big Big Train. Do you want to hear it? And of course he said yes, and I sent it over, and then he loved it basically, and he said, so do you have any lyrics and stuff for this? And I said, because I didn't really feel comfortable doing lyrics for Big Big Train, because they're really, they have their own approach. Both Greg and David have a very sort of stylistic way of expressing themselves, and they usually write about certain places or feelings or whatever that are very British to me, at least, and I didn't want to overstep my boundaries there. So I basically said, are any of you guys interested in doing the lyrics and the vocal melodies for this? I thought that David should probably do the vocal melodies, since he's gonna be the one who sings it, so And Greg said, well, I wouldn't mind having a go at the lyrics, and so he started doing that, and then he sent the lyrics to David, I think, and David started doing melodies for it, and that was it, so we basically co-wrote the entire song, and that's the one called A Mead Hauling Winter, which is on Grimspond.
And with that, how does it feel now to get people such as the members of Big Big Train being able to add their parts and their own touches to songs that you wrote? I mean, I know you're so used to everything with like Gungfly and Beardfish having your own style, but what's it like having them having their add to it?
Oh, well, it's great. I mean, as I said, I was really excited about sending a track that I wrote because basically all of the guys and guys and gal, as they say, they're excellent musicians, and it's just fantastic to hear them do their thing, as you say, with stuff that you've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be such a great feeling. I mean, such a legendary band as Big Big Train, and now being able to have more of a creative aspect of it as well. And I would imagine by the time that the next album cycle comes around that it might even have more of your influence on the album.
Well, you never know. It all depends, I guess, on creativity and if the juices are flowing, as they say. If I'm writing stuff and I feel that maybe this would work for Big Big Train, I won't hesitate to send it over. And if they go for it, then that's fine. I'd love to contribute more, but I don't see it as if I have to sort of push that. It's more if I'm writing something and I feel that this sounds like a Big Big Train song, then I'm going to suggest it. But otherwise, I'm writing mainly for Gungfly, I guess, these days. So
yeah, and getting back into Gungfly, I mean, I really love the album from start to finish. I mean, I just love hearing this style, and now that Beardfish is in the past, it's really interesting to see the direction of how things are going to be going without so many focuses on different projects that you're fronting and just having Gungfly. And I really love what you did lyrically and vocally on the album. Is there anything that's like interconnected as far as the songs, or is it just like a collection of songs?
Well, I mean, it's there are some themes going on in lyrically. I mean, and one of the ideas I had it's all basically sort of loosely connected, because I had this idea that came at a later stage when I started, because that's usually what I do. I start looking at the lyrics and I sort of see, okay, so this one is about that and this one is about that, but then I could see that a lot of them were dealing with some kind of basically a heroic death or something, which was kind of it took me by surprise a little bit, because I didn't really notice that one happening, but I'm guessing what I was aiming at was that because I don't know if you've seen the cover art for it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, it's basically there's this lady moth who's on her way towards the sun, basically, and that's what I said to Spencer Kialabowden, who made the cover art for this one. I said, I want a female moth who's on the way towards the sun, and I want the sun to be sort of in the vein of a Buddha, basically a Buddha statue. Not that I'm not a Buddhist or anything, but I've always enjoyed the sort of somber vibe of his facial expression, which is usually kind of happy, content, smiley happy, and I had this idea of a hero, when someone who basically a real hero, someone who dies protecting someone else is probably the most courageous and brave thing that someone could do. Speaking of human feelings and whatnot, and so I had this idea of a hero who died protecting someone else, and then for this he was reborn as a son. And the female moth character was she's yearning for, she's missing this partner of hers, and he was the one who turned into the sun. So she's basically on a journey towards him, and not physically, but just even though he's gone, she's sort of approaching him in a different way, in a emotional way, and in a different way that she knew him when he was still alive. And that's sort of a vibe that was, it's not spoken out per se in the lyrics, but it's more of a vibe that's going on in the album for me. And I don't know how many people would pick up on that, because it's kind of, as I said, it's kind of vague, but it's still, it's there somehow, you know. And that's why I chose to name one of the instrumental songs Keith, and then the Son of Sun as well, in, you know, as a sort of co-title for it. So there's a bunch of that stuff. I love having these kind of vague conceptual themes going on, because that's what I enjoy when I listen to music or when I watch movies. For instance, you know, I love David Lynch. I love his work with all the sort of vague mystical stuff going on, and you know, that's just who I am, and I love creating stuff in that vein as well. So.
Yeah, that's why I was very curious about in a lyrical sense, because I was kind of picking up that there might be something thematic going on, but I wasn't entirely sure if it was meant to be a concept album or vague themes or not. But hearing the backstory like that, I mean, it makes it so much more interesting, especially when I go back and listen to it again and just try to pick up on those pieces when I hear the lyrical or the musical concepts behind it, because I mean, it does sound like a very fascinating and somber story, but it makes it that much more of a fun listen when you kind of get those ideas and you can have an open interpretation to it.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, not a problem. And speaking of that, of course, with the album coming out next month, and of course with the release of Big Big Train as well, what do you got going on next?
Oh man, right now I'm working with these two songwriters who happen to live in my old hometown, which is it's basically a 15-minute drive from here, but still they've been living here for a couple of years, and started asking around for local musicians to work with, and they're basically a married couple who's been doing they've been doing separate careers, but then now they're releasing a single together. So me and Petter and Rasmus, actually, who's on the Gungfly album, started working with them a little bit, so we're going to tour a little with them in May and June. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, very cool. And yeah, it's great to see that you were able to expand that much. I mean, with like all the projects never exactly sounding the same, it's great to see that you are able to branch out and be able to adapt just like that.
Well, I've never sort of really, I've never really been one to sit still. I like to do various stuff just to, you know, I love music, basically. That's it. So I try my best to do lots and lots of it.
Yeah, and it's a great thing knowing that you have two brand new albums to look forward to this year. I mean, with 2016 being a bit more of a somber year, it's great to see that in 2017 you got two brand new albums coming out, and I would assume more releases that would be coming out in the future, just like you were talking about writing with them, and possibly even other endeavors as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've started writing on the next. There were some songs that were left over as well from this album that just couldn't fit, because the album started approaching the 70-minute mark, you know, and I was like, I gotta put a stop to this, because I had some songs that weren't able to go on this album, so I'm working on those right now for the next album as well. But then, of course, we gotta learn to play some of this stuff now, because we need to get out there and and actually perform, because some of the songs we never played some of them together, so that's kind of interesting as well, because the album was recorded a while back now, so it's like you know, everyone's got to get their act together and learn the stuff again.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that as well. I mean, was there anything coming up as far as like live shows or anything in the process for that?
The only thing that is really booked right now is a show locally here, because we're doing something for the release of the album, and then hopefully I'm going to be able to present some more live shows later on this year. It's just a matter of getting everyone together for a long enough period to be able to do a tour, because that would be the best thing, I think. So I'm looking at probably the late fall or maybe in the winter time. So.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, and you know, it makes me happy as a fan of all your previous work and everything that you're doing now. It's just I'm so happy to see that everything is still maintaining that being as active as you are. I mean, being able to like adapt to all these different situations, work on all these great albums, and of course with Grimspond, with Big Big Train, and your brand new album with Gungfly. I mean, it's great to see all this great material, none of it starting starting to sound like it's bland or feeling like you just have to make music to make music. I mean, it feels like it's always from the heart what you're doing, and as a fan, I really truly appreciate that.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad. I'm really glad you enjoy it. I try my best, as I say, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. Then I would do something else. So that's always been my approach to music.
Yeah, and that is a great way to look at it. I mean, when your heart's not in the music anymore, I mean, it might be time to either take a break or look for something new. But I'm glad to see that you're not at that spot yet, and you are able to have all these great different outlets for all your different styles.
Yeah, well, as I said, I try my best.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and to talk about Big Big Train, talk about Gungfly, who on her journey to the sun will be coming out May 19th through Inside Out, and all the great musical endeavors that you got going on. I mean, I'm always fascinated when a musician has all these different outlets that they are able to show off in different styles and how they're able to manage all that. And of course, with being a father as well, I mean, it's great to see that you are able to balance everything out and write some amazing music and hopefully some amazing live shows that will come from everything as well.
Yeah, well, I hope so. You know, I gotta say though, I have a very understanding girlfriend as well, so that helps. If not, you know, I would it would be difficult. More difficult, I say.
Oh, I absolutely understand that. I also have a very understanding and loving girlfriend for my endeavors as well. So it's always good to have a better half that understands the creative mind like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, oh, awesome. Well, again, thank you for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that you got going on right now. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, the only thing I can say is that I appreciate the people who keep listening to the albums, buying the albums, you know, coming to the shows, and, you know, I hope you're going to like this one.